Hi, my name is LunchBox Warren, and I am a comic book writer and artist. I've been born and raised in the Northwest, Pacific Northwest area. I've been at this since 2016. Was when I decided to quit my full-time job and start working on making comics and becoming more of a comic book artist or all-around artist together. Try to essentially make a business out of this. And it's been right now I have an ongoing series called The Adventures of Sig and Joe, which is essentially like Firefly meets Aqua Teen Hunger Force, anthropomorphic characters in an action adventure comedy that has a lot of 90s action kind of throwbacks, as well as fourth wall breaks and humor and heart along those lines. It's essentially Sig and Joe are two brothers who are taking on an evil corporation and a bunch of bad guys fighting off robots to help stick up for the little guy. Right now, currently, I'm working on issue 4 of that. Issue 1, 2, and 3 are available in digital form on the Global Comics app, and I've also done a one-shot called "How the Squirrels Saved Longview," and also I've been in multiple anthologies for Antarctic Press and also for Yellow Cone Productions. I did the cover for the Cthulhu Invades Oz Creators Edition graphic novel, and I also had a 8-page story inside the Cthulhu Invades Wonderland. I've done a 6-page story for Penguina from Antarctic Press, and I'm also going to be in the future Ninja High School issue 200 anthology celebration with a 31-page story in that one too. I do all of my work in black and white because I'm colorblind, so it makes it very difficult to color, especially digitally. So I do a lot of my the coloring that I do. I do a lot of everything kind of in like this gray tones with cell shading is what I've been mostly primarily working in, and that's what all my work currently is in right now. I have other people do the coloring on my covers and stuff along those lines. But yeah, I've been learning as I go. I'm self-taught. I've been an artist since I was old enough to hold a pencil. I first started getting into comic books in the 5th grade with these Nintendo Power magazines that had comic strips in them of Mario, the Mario Brothers comic strip out of it was like a manga out of Japan, but it was all in full color and told in American westernized. And that one kind of caught my eye, and I started drawing the characters in it. Then I found the spinner rack at the Safeway when my grandmother or my parents would go grocery shopping. I would go straight to the spinner rack and read comic books while they were going around grabbing the groceries. And if I was lucky, I'd pick one up when I was there. And that's where I started finding Uncanny X-Men, the Joe Madura run, which is a huge influence of mine. And I just started finding other artists, and then I was just kind of hooked. When I graduated in '99, I went off to the Army, and I didn't do much drawing during that time period, but I did fall back into love with comic books through indies. At that time, indies, it was all the Image stuff with Todd McFarlane, Garth Ennis's Preacher series. I have the Dark Knight Returns with Frank Miller. Finding all of these more adult-oriented comic books and with more mature themes really opened my eyes to what comic books could do. And then from there, after I got out of the military, I kind of got away from drawing for a bit longer, and then I got back into it again when I discovered manga, and manga's kind of been revitalized me, and now I'm back into reading Western comics again, and I still read a lot of manga, and you can see manga influences in my style, and as I'm going along and drawing, especially if you look at my first issue to what I'm doing now, there's been a massive growth in how I'm doing, and I've been learning a lot from my mistakes. I look at the first issues of my comic book as almost like a college course. The first issue is the freshman year, and it's sometimes hard to look at for myself because I want to go back and redraw it. And then the second year, sophomore, third, and then the fourth year is going to be the end of the first arc, and that's kind of, I feel like, not really. It's kind of like, it feels like a graduation, but it does. The fourth issue showed I've learned from a lot of my mistakes and improved with writing, and just learning how to write, discovering writing, the creative process, discovering why all of the prep work is so important. My first issue was I kind of just created it, and then I had to go back and fix a lot of things. So then I learned really how important character sheets are. I learned about how important doing outlines, making sure you know the entire, at least the outline of the arc, so then that way you can hit the characters more. I learned the importance of knowing more about your characters than what you tell the audience. Like, I know backstories on characters now that the audience may never learn about, but I found it's important to know that stuff to judge how your character is going to react in a situation. So if I know where the character is coming from, it helps me plan better to where they're going, kind of deal. So it's been a journey learning how to do it. My first 56 pages of comic books that I did were completely unusable because I didn't leave space for the lettering, and I'd had to go back. I'd had to go back and fix everything. So I just looked at it and I was like, okay, well, it's not that good. It's 56 pages in. Let's go in and redo this and fix it. And then I kind of rewrote the beginning, reorganized it, and the second time I started the first issue, I didn't have to. I left plenty of room for lettering, and then the second issue, I had a letterer, but me and the letterer don't speak anymore. So now I'm learning also how to letter. So I'm pretty much doing everything except for the editorial because I can't edit my own stuff. I really believe you have to have someone else look at your stuff to find mistakes, find not only grammar, but also having an editor that knows about the art and can say, like, well, these panels or this situation or this page doesn't seem to fit, kind of deal, or put a background in here, or this is confusing. It's really important to have that outside voice. And I've learned that one too through the process of making mistakes and being, and realizing how important all this prep stuff is. But yeah, I have a couple of my issues here. I've got them printed out. I only have the first two issues because of the way things are going in the business with comic books. I only plan to make graphic novels now. I don't plan to do floppies unless it's like a special one shot, kind of like this is only 18 pages. It's a one shot about squirrels saving the town of Longview, Washington from an alien invasion in our park. And it was a lot of kids love this one too. And I've learned that price point wise, in the business wise, trying to do floppies today it just doesn't make sense money wise. Like, you're going to end up charging, like getting a floppy down to $5 if you have to pay for anything like art wise is almost impossible, really. I mean, if you're paying someone to do your coloring and that's coming out of pocket, and you try to recoup that cost, with printing was $250 for an issue. If you do like a 50 print run out of Comics Wellspring, now it's bumped up to around $350. That's a black and white, like 44-page comic book, and pretty soon that price, is probably going to go up too. So I've just decided that I'm going to start just doing graphic novels. I'll do all my stories in one shot, 64 to 100 pages, and then just print it all out in that graphic novel. It's easier price point. It's easier sell. People seem to like, a lot of people that come. I've only done a couple shows because I've only recently started trying to get out more as an artist, and people seem to like the graphic novel idea a lot better than just buying one issue when they see you. So I'm going to start doing graphic novels with all my stuff. Once I get the fourth issue of Sig and Joe done, I'm going to do a massive 200 plus page graphic novel of all four issues. So that's just kind of like I was planning to get published by Antarctic Press, but after the Diamond bankruptcy and crash, and now that they don't want to do small publishers, that publishing window through Antarctic Press is pretty much closed. So now I have to work on trying to find either other routes of self-publishing or try to find another publisher, which is not easy to do because a lot of the smaller publishers are struggling today with trying to get out there. And even if you do have a publisher, the downside to it is if you sell a comic book for $5, the comic book shop is buying it for $2.50. The publisher is taking a chunk out of the $2.50 that you get out of that. So by the time it gets done, you're getting a pretty small piece of that comic book, and it's going to be lower than what it costs to print it. What the publisher should be doing the printing, but anyways. So yeah, it's a tough business right now in the indie world, and I don't know if you guys have been feeling the squeeze too, or if you guys are doing, floppies or graphic novels. But in my situation, I found out it just makes more financial sense to go full graphic novel when you're doing comic books, and then if a publisher wants to break that up into floppies, then that's they can do that, and they'll have higher print runs. But even getting into comic shops, that's not going to pay the bills enough to get you going anywhere. It almost seems like you have to get into Scholastic or somewhere along those lines to get into like Barnes and Nobles and Targets along like that, because comic book shops, I think there's like less than 2,000 in America right now. So it's a tough business, it seems like, to keep going in, and you got to have the love for it, because you guys know the time you put in with the artwork and along those lines. But yeah, I also do digital art. I do physical art. I do primary digital for my comic books because it's faster. I like doing the physical art. I'd love to do a comic book all physically, but at the time, it's just having the time period to do it, because it's going to take 3 times as long to do it in that way than digital. I've been branching out more and trying to do prints. I do some commission work. I've done covers for people and along those lines. And yeah, it's just been a fun, rough, long journey that I absolutely adore, and I'm hooked on. But it's been a lot of fun doing. Let's see here. Sorry.
Can we see some of your art now?
Yeah.
Here's some more of it. Because you've got a really classic entry into the comics world. I think everybody's been through this and understand what it's like. And we appreciate seeing, younger people coming up and doing it again.
Yeah, I was actually fortunate. My aunt's a school teacher, and I was able to go talk to a middle school about making comics, and I was able to bring them comics. I brought them paper, and I showed them some stuff that I had been working on, and that was an absolute blast working with the kids and showing them and getting them inspired, where there are a couple of them even started doing their own comic books on paper that my aunt was showing me afterwards. And I probably will go see them this year coming up again too. That was a lot of fun.
Nice.
It's good to inspire, because I want more people to do it, but at the same time, though, it is not an easy life to build out of, to try to do this for, But yeah,
so you got some art for us here? I would love to see more of your art.
I am sharing.
I think we all would
right now.
What you got?
You guys see it or
not yet?
We can see I see the cover art, Sig and Joe.
Okay, so you guys can see that one. Okay.
Yep.
All right, and then this is for issue 1. This is the issue 2 cover, and these were all colored by a friend of mine, Phil Leon. Mm-hmm. And here's a character sheet for Sig. This is the first character sheet that I ever did, and I realized now how important they are, showing the design. So you don't want to go back after like 30 pages and realize you forgot to put a belt on somebody, or the shirt's wrong, or along those lines. Here's a couple panels, or panel from the actual book. This is I do everything in like this gray tone style with the cell shading on it, and gives it kind of a black and white cartoony look. Here is Joe. He's him and Sig are the main characters of the story. Joe is more of your by the numbers, strong, silent type, but he battles with his own issues of confidence. And Sig is more of like the open, out there, wisecracking, crazy type. They work really well together with each other. And here's issue 4's cover. This one hasn't been colored yet. And let me also share.
Can I also mention there's an awful lot of artists that really, really love black and white, and fans as well. So your gray cones are wonderful.
This is some of the stuff that I just did for prints and stuff along those lines. This one actually might end up becoming a story, because sometimes just doing one drawing can inspire a story. And this was the cover that I did for the anthology Cthulhu Invades Oz. I drew this as kind of fan art, and then the guy who was putting together the project loved it so much he used it for his as a cover. And then here's some fun little fan art I did of Galactus and Silver Surfer, trying to get him not to eat so much. And here is a anime character fan art that I did. She's from Fire Force. And here's a picture of Medusa that I did. I'm a huge fan of Medusa, and I'm planning to do something in the future with her as well. I really like her story. And here is a little skull guy. This was just one I did when I was. Sometimes I'll just to do a picture. I'll like, okay, I want to do a cityscape and I want to do a big monster in it, and kind of just play around with it until I get get a finished product. And this was one. This is the first digital piece of artwork that I ever did. I did it on my iPad when I was learning, trying to figure out how to do digital. And this was the first one that I did for that. This is a Warrior Nun, a indie comic character by Antarctic Press. Well, Ben Dunn created her, and then she was sold. The rights were sold for distribution, and then she ended up becoming a Netflix TV series, The Warrior Nun. I think it only had one season. But yeah, that's some of the artwork there. Yeah, everything I said, like I said, done in great tones. Yeah, it's also cheaper when you're doing the printing on the inside of the comic book, and people don't seem to mind. There's some people that are like, we love color, but you get a good look on your black and whites, and that'll carry you just as well, I think. I like a lot of good black and white. Like, I love the artist editions of graphic novels that DC and Marvel will do that are like all in pencil or just the inked pages. I love that kind of stuff. But yeah, that's I've also, I've been dabbling in stickers. I've been working on. I tried to do some clothing stuff through one of those print. What they call those print on demand places, like print tea or Teespring, and one of them that I used was print something. What was it called? Anyways, people ordered stuff from it, and it's been almost a year, and they haven't got it. So be real careful on who you use with these companies, because sometimes, like, I think it was Teespring. That was right. Teespring is massively behind. So yeah, I've been dabbling in all that kind of stuff business wise, and trying to navigate the comics world, the social media, the indie comic sphere. A lot of it's pretty wild out there, Wild West kind of stuff. It seems like there's a massive disconnect between like indie comics social media, and then when you go to a convention and you're meeting face to face with people and you're shaking hands and along those lines. It seems a lot more open when you're actually at a convention than it does online. Online, there's just a lot of tribalism and contention. But I don't want to bring down the talk too much. But yeah, it's just been a interesting. When I first started doing this, all I cared about was making the comic. I didn't care about selling it. I didn't care about building an audience. And that stuff was on the back burner because I was just focusing on how do I turn this idea into a real physical deal. And then about issue 3, I was like, okay, I need to start working on marketing and trying to get out there more. And that's where I've been dabbling more into the social media and the posts, trying to do live stream draws or draw streams, trying to paying for some ads, trying to get some movement on the product. And it is probably out of the whole process, I think marketing is the toughest. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but marketing for me is the absolute toughest thing to learn so far, and I still don't have a grasp on it myself. It seems like so much luck is involved with marketing at times. But yeah, I've done a Kickstarter, a crowdfund. I've done, like I said, I've been in a bunch of anthologies. I've tried. I haven't done any kind of work, as in I got a job for any of the publishers doing just like inking or penciling for a book. but I have done covers and stuff like that. I notice it's a tough competition out there, especially when you're dealing like what the rate of pay is and how low the pay is for an artist, especially when you're talking about like in a Western country compared to like other areas. And it's it's a real dog eat dog market out there. It's a tough thing to get into. I've noticed so far. Have you guys had different like struggles with marketing yourself, or has it been easier for you, or
constantly? I mean,
well, I think what you're going through is very much the classic path that I think we've all done, and it didn't stop us, and I hate using the phrase. It gets better. Might I mention, as far as print on demand goes for books, Kablam? Have you tried them?
I have not tried Kablam yet. I've done I forgot Mixum, and I've done Comics Wellspring. I've not tried Kablam. The
reason I'm mentioning Kablam is that even with the retailer cost on top, dollar more than 80 prices, and their quality excellent, and of course, you don't have to drag these all over the place online. You can just set up enough for your show, or have enough. You don't have to have it run. They are print on, and they're also and very awesome. So, suggest them try. If you just put 10 books and take them to the show, you're not going to lose a lot of money. And of course, they are printer. They're not a. And give them a try. It can't hurt. I mean, they're always just a good company. Keep their price down.
Oh, I think we might have lost her.
Yeah, I think she's out on the peninsula, so the connection's very.
Out there. Yeah, I'm on the peninsula, but you can't afford to do some floppies because it's easy just to put them up there. And then if you need 10 or 20 copies for a show, you print them up and take them with you, or have them ship them to your hotel.
Okay, yeah. I'll definitely look into that.
It doesn't hurt. They're a good company.
Yeah. No, I'll definitely give it a try. I'm always looking for better and newer companies. I know Global Comics has partnered with Comics Wellspring to do a print-on-demand service that they're in beta right now. I'm keeping an eye on that to see how well that goes. And I have other friends who have used the print-on-demand through Amazon, which they said was kind of difficult getting the print set up. But once they got that all going, it seems to be going pretty good for them. But it's always passive income when it comes to print on demand, because usually the margins are a bit off, and depends on how much it costs for them to print it, that one issue for the customer. I know with Global Comics, that's one thing I'm waiting on, is to find out the margins.
Well, the thing is about any kind of publisher, of course, if you asked anybody in the prose world, when it came to a print run, if you got 50 cents a copy, that was good cost from the publisher.
Yeah.
So the thing about Kablam is it doesn't cost you anything. People just come on and buy the books. They're paying for the shipping. They're paying for everything. And so it's a matter of marketing it. Okay. And then if you want to approach a bookstore, see what they're interested in, or a distributor. Like you say, we don't really have good distributors now. But the only reason I really mentioned Kablam is they're so easy, they're so responsive, their quality is very good, and they just let you play around with some inexpensive options so you can kind of test the waters.
I will definitely check them out pretty soon, because I'm going to be looking for printers for my graphic novels. So I'll definitely check them out and see how that goes.
If you got really large things, I really do recommend Amazon, because I have done like 300-page full colors, and my costs for buying copies are quite low, and I'm able to sell them at shows for decent prices. And then people come online, and it keeps. And I get. I don't want $1 million out of each copy. You just get enough, and their color is good, their quality is good, their binding is good. But as you say, it can be difficult to get those to get that art done right. but when you do, it works.
Yeah.
But, check out Kablam first.
Yeah, that was one thing I've also learned, and I tell newer artists or newer comic creators to talk to me, is that even if you can't sell it good, even if you don't know marketing, even if you're not going to shows yet, get the books done, because having finished product never goes old, never expires. 10 years from now, I can show someone Sig and Joe issue 1, and they'll be the first time they ever seen it. So it's like having 4 or 5 issues done before you figure out how to sell them. If you can do that, it's not a bad thing. That just means that once someone does discover you, they'll have much more to read and be entertained by. So the most important thing is getting the stuff done. So I hope to have a lot more success and options once I get that graphic novel done and really start throwing that around. I know a couple local shops around here in Portland, Vancouver, and St. Helens area are all said that they prefer graphic novels because of the price point. It's hard to sell a $25 indie book that's only 24 pages, and that's what some of the indie guys are charging for their books, is $15 to $25. It's almost $1 per page. So it's really hard to sell someone on that on an unproven property when it's next to Spider-Man. But if you show them an 80-page graphic novel and you're selling it for $15, that's a much easier sell for somebody, especially with an unproven commodity. So a lot of the comic shops.
I sell graphic novels that are full color, and they're $25, but they're an inch thick.
Yeah. There's guys trying to sell.
You're getting a lot of bang for your buck.
For $25. It's some of these indie comics.
Oh my God! No, you're not going to get that with Blam. You're going to bet like $4. Oh, you see what's happening? We're gonna start talking publishing, and when we start talking publishing, it can go on for days.
It's been a great experience. There comes a point when I was doing this, I noticed that I got to, it's like, okay, I'm going to quit or I'm never going to stop doing this until I can't do it anymore. And it really felt like that was the crossroad I was at one point. And then I just buckled down and kept drawing. And now I can't see myself ever not doing this until I physically cannot do it. I absolutely love it. I don't care if no one gets to read them ever, I'm going to still be making comic books and trying to get better at it. So it's just been, I tell people, it's like that thin line between obsession and passion, it seems like. And I'm riding that line, but right now it's just, I absolutely love doing it. And I think you have to put in the amount of work we put into these things and not, it's like, I tell people, it's like, you're walking 100 miles, but you've only traveled a step, is what it feels like sometimes working in this, because you're doing so much work, and that some people don't even look at what you're doing. And it's been kind of trying to figure out roller coaster imposter syndrome and really fighting through it. But at the end of the day, making these things and drawing them is just the most zen, awesome thing that I've done. So I'm going to keep on making them. It's just trying to navigate, and now trying to do the marketing side of it, where I have to actually get out and talk to people. It's been interesting, and for someone who usually just stays at home all the time and talks to a cat, that doesn't, it's hard to get out there sometimes. But it's just, it's just part of attacking your weaknesses and turning them into strengths and learning and experience. And I'm kind of in the school philosophy is that you build it until you get it right, and you learn from your mistakes. And learning what not to do it just tells you what the right way to do it. Some people will get stuck not creating anything because they want to create something that's perfect, and I'm just more along the lines of, I'm just going to create crap, and hopefully this crap keeps getting better until it becomes something that looks decent. It can be a struggle, but it's a beautiful struggle. So I really do, at the end of the day, absolutely love it. It's just I got into the Port Angeles Con. I'm working on to getting into some in Vancouver for next year, and hopefully next year I could add 2 or 3 different cons on. Working my way to maybe one day having a table or having enough street cred to get into Rose City, and then maybe even ECC one of these days. But I don't know if I'll ever have the money to afford a table at ECC, just to be honest.
Yeah, those are expensive.
Yeah, going to Port Angeles. It was I essentially broke even, but it was a good learning experience. About all the costs with everything and what I want to carry, and still trying to figure out what sells and what doesn't sell and how big to my setup and all that kind of stuff. It's like every single part of this is its own mastery job, and I'm trying to juggle all of that. And it's as you guys know too, it's like you're trying to master like 3 or 4 different full-time jobs at the same time. It's been very, very interesting.
Well, we were certainly glad to see you at Port Angeles, and I was glad that I could get you onto the show here. I went around the convention looking for people that we could get up onto the show, and I'm really happy that you were able to show up.
Oh, thank you, and I appreciate coming on. It's nice meeting other people that are into like-minded and into the same stuff and into the art. And it's nice to meet people like that because, as we were talking earlier, the Northwest or West Coast is so spread apart, compared to maybe even over on the East Coast. So it's like sometimes I think I might be the only person who makes comics in my city. So I haven't met anybody else that makes comic books in my town. So it's kind of like I have to go all the way to Portland to find someone else that even makes comics, and it could be kind of a lonely affair sometimes when you're trying to find other people who do this. And it's been a fun experience. But I am glad I'm meeting people now. Port Angeles was one of the most fun times I've had. I can't wait to go back next year. I've met a lot of cool people, and I hope to add more cons in and get to meet more people and start, finding some friends around that are within driving distance.
Well, where are you?
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I'm down I live in Longview, Washington, which is down in the southwestern part, right? Probably about like 20 minutes from Vancouver, 30 minutes from Portland, kind of deal, up I-5. So Portland's kind of a big comic book town, but I haven't quite broke into that and met too many people there yet. So I hope to next year get around to meeting more people there.
Well, we're trying to spread Comic Cons across the peninsula. I had the Clallam Bay Comic Con. I'm the outreach coordinator for SquatchCon, Port Angeles. I'm back on the staff for RainCon, which is returning, the only convention that has camping. And I was down in Hoquiam a couple of weeks ago, and we actually got people interested, and we're actually thinking about how about a Comic Con in Hoquiam.
Oh, that's cool.
They've got spaces.
Yeah, definitely. I'll join the mailing list. You could definitely keep me posted on that. I would love to. Here in Longview, we have every year we have a SquatchCon or Squatch Festival. They call it Squatch Fest, which is just a Bigfoot festival. They almost had an alien, like Roswell type alien convention. I really think we could pull off a comic book convention here, like the SquatchCon along those lines. But trying to organize all of that and put all that together. But I do think it would be possible. I think there's a need, not a need, but I think there's a want for it. There was a anime convention here, which was just in one of those union halls, but a lot of people showed up the day that we were there. So I was really shocked at how many people came through. So I think there is people here if you wanted to do like a cosplay anime type kind of festival. But yeah,
if
I would
you go
definitely
on my website, which is donabar.com, and it says Olympic Peninsula Conventions, there's the old Slalom Bay Comic Con template. I ran that Comic Con by myself in a Lions Club. I was broken. People had a great time. But if you just copy that out and do what I did, I even took care of legal questions, etc.
Okay.
You've just got a model for, well, let's say in Hoquiam, they've got all those wonderful buildings, because they did not get rid of them. And they're dry lockable spaces with a bathroom. So look at my template and just copy it and have a convention wherever you want. The way I've got it set up is you could be in London and run a convention in Seattle.
And that was donnabar.com?
Yes, donnabar.com.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Did you get the raincon.net? I put it down in the messages.
I will get that right now.
I think I did. Yeah, it's raincon.net and donnabar.com. I just got a link to Olympic Peninsula conventions. We are actually starting to spread conventions around the Olympic Peninsula.
Excellent. I would definitely like to become a part of that.
Yeah. So it's I don't run them, but the template that I do have is very simple and very easy for just one run. It's not hard. I mean, you can't run a big one with that template, but it gives you the basics to get it started.
Well, yeah, a Lions Hall or a Union Hall one to start off with, I think, then going with the big one is probably the better route to go, especially when you're learning and trying to figure it out. So,
well, Shirt Run had to move into a bigger space.
Yeah.
Yeah, just crammed. And they got a different space. You start small, like San Diego Comic Con. Where was that?
What was that, Donna?
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Roberta was at that San Diego Comic Con when it was teeny.
Oh, okay, cool.
Because they all start small.
Yeah.
This is the other thing. In Forks, they were afraid of having a Comic Con because they didn't think they'd have the infrastructure. I said, don't worry. If you have a Comic Con, you bring money to build the infrastructure.
I remember the first convention I went to in Portland was in one of the exhibit rooms in the Rose Garden. No, the Kingdom. Not Kingdom, I'm sorry. Memorial Coliseum,
okay.
the old casino before they had the Rose Garden. And it was just in one of the little exhibit rooms. Now it's like 20, 30,000 people, like full 3-day event. But I remember I met Bendis there, and it was only like maybe 50 vendors, if that. Like, and it was in just a small little room. And then now you go to them, and it's like the whole entire area is full of it, and there's like thousands and thousands of people there. And yeah, it's the Fan Expo and Rose City Con, both are pretty good sized shows. But yeah, it always starts. Honestly, the smaller shows are more fun to go to. I've noticed because you get more personable with the people, and it seems to have a lot more fun. The bigger cons, I haven't been to one yet where I've run a table, but it seems like it'd be a little overwhelming at some of these ones. Have you guys done any of the big conventions?
This is what happens. They get really big, and then people say, well, we want the little ones again. So they just start another one, and then that one gets big.
Yeah.
You have to start another one.
Yeah, I used to do ECC regularly until I got priced out of it, and I'm still sort of building up my resources to start doing the small ones again.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not cheap. That's for sure.
That's a terrible connection. Yeah, I get a professional pass to go to Emerald City, and I just roam around, make contacts, take pictures, just kind of share the experience. So people, who can't be there, who are friends, and I've got a lot of professional connections, so I can help people out and just keep those kind of things going. So I always get my little, professional pass every year for a couple of days.
I am looking into trying to get into C2E2 next year in Chicago. I have a friend over in the East Coast, so we're going to meet at Chicago if we get into it and share a table. So that hopefully that should be a lot of fun. That's a pretty good size con. And I've thought of one time I thought about like maybe trying a road trip where I go down and hit this con, then drive and hit this con. But it's hard to find. One, it's hard to find conventions because unless it's a big con, usually the smaller ones are only advertised in the area sphere where they're being held at. Like sometimes you don't always get to know when this stuff happens until like a week before it goes on. So it's almost like I have to find a convention. It's like, okay, well, mark it on the calendar because next year I'll try to make sure I get into this one. So yeah, it's it's not as easy trying to find them, especially the smaller ones, like the college ones, the library ones, the mall ones. It seems like it's only local area advertisement for those ones. So it'd be nice to have a database to find more of these conventions.
Oh, there's another. I don't know if you get down to California, but the San Diego Comic Fest. That's a great little convention.
Nice. That's ones I'd like to go hit. It just has to be, I have to be able to financially do it. The Portland one I can do because I can make it home every night, but it's the ones that you have to spend overnight. That's where the money starts racking up quite a bit.
Well, you remember, in the old days, we'd have as many as 8 people in a room.
Oh,
and the law was, you don't look at my underwear, I don't look at yours. There was no delicacy. You just had to do it because we were all broke. The Great Popsicle Feast. Roberta remembers that one.
You guys have any questions or anything for me? Or
I'm sorry, I was having too much fun just talking to him. You've been good at the drink and draw.
Yeah, no, Port Angeles was my first drink and draw when they had that at the what was the name of that guy's studio?
Bob's Studio.
Yeah, Bob's Studio. That was the first time I ever did a drink and draw. That was a lot of fun.
Oh, and I think they were watching me cripple my way up the stairs before I got my knee, because now they're getting a chairlift in.
Oh, nice.
Those god awful stairs.
They wait to get the chairlift after you've got the knee surgery.
Yeah, I know. I'm claiming that.
But yeah, it's it is awesome though to meet more people around this area that are doing it. It's good to know that I'm not the only cartoon comic artist in the southwestern Washington area or Washington area.
Well, you've got Push and Pull in Seattle that does events, and it's also an art store.
The Push and Pull?
Yeah, Push and Pull.
It's a co-op in Ballard that essentially serves as a gallery with lots of lectures on the media. Very nice.
Okay, cool.
And Fantagraphics has lots of wonderful events. Their little store they got in Seattle. Okay. Oh, and what was that show they've got? Hot Off the Press? Mm-hmm. That's the Fantagraphics show every year.
I have to start checking those out.
Yeah. And then of course, and why do I always forget its name when I'm thinking of it? Not Push Pull, but that other indie one. But I happened to run into one of the organizers. They recently had to change the location from Seattle Center to the design center in the Sodo area.
Yeah, that's Short Run, isn't it?
Right, Short Run.
Talking about Short Run.
Why do I always forget Short Run's name? It's always embarrassing, but yeah. But
I had another show I was thinking of. I can't think of it right now. Oh, Olympia. The Comic-Con in Olympia.
Okay, so there's a lot of stuff going on up in the Olympia, Tacoma, Seattle area, I take it then?
Yeah.
It's pretty dry down here, so so that's where all the action's at.
Yeah, and then there's let's see, there's what's the matter if we don't answer that? Rust City in Tacoma. Not Rust City.
Yeah. Risk City Convention.
Yeah, yeah.
I have not been able to get to that one. I have the problem with these conventions is they cross schedules. There's so much going on. You got to choose.
Yeah, it would be nice if they organized it where you get, each weekend we can hit one instead of trying to have to choose to figure it all out.
That's what we said we were going to try to do on the Olympic Peninsula. Have different weekends, put them in the Timberland libraries and stuff all around the peninsula. Have people camp like at RainCon. At first it was a joke, but it looks like we've got several conventions around the Olympic Peninsula now.
Well, that's good though. It's good to grow them. It's good to get the art out there more, inspiring more, getting the youth into it, getting people that can meet up so that they know that they're not alone out there doing this stuff. That there's more people that are into the same thing. I think it's important. I've been the little bit of shows that I've done. I've really enjoyed the camaraderie and getting to meet people and getting out there and talking to the kids and talking to other artists and having someone come up who's like, oh, I've always wanted to do this. This is so cool. And then talking to them and hopefully convincing them to try themselves, stuff along. I really enjoy all of it. So anything that gets more of that out there, I'm 100% for.
Well, I come from the old backstock days. I'm laying on a bed that's held up by comic book boxes. And I made my money on them a long time ago. And I do sell them, but I also use them to introduce people to comics. And when I was down in Hoquiam, people were like, whoa, what's this? They didn't have the mind closed down. They were excited about it. And so if you got any extra copies, and sometimes you do, I'm using it to drag people in. Oh, you got somebody with a question down here in the group chat.
All right, I have a question. Do you make each frame in a separate file or draw the entire? I use Clip Studio Paint, also known as Manga Studio, and I do entire pages, and then I'll draw them. Now when you're doing digital, there's layers, so like inks, pencils, along those lines. But when you're talking about the actual page, it's all done on one page. And then you sometimes have it set up in double page spreads, but I'll usually break it up when it gets to the penciling stage. And then, so everything's done on one page. I'm not doing panel at a time. Yeah. And that Clip Studio Paint, I highly recommend for comics. Procreate's another good art program, and Procreate's an iPad program, and it's probably one of the best drawing programs for under $10 that I've ever even seen. It is an amazing program. I wish they were a little bit more comics in tune, but it's a very good overall kind of program. And some people use Photoshop, but I've never tried to get into the Adobe stuff. I like the Clip Studio myself because it's geared just for comics.
Yeah, fellow Clip Studio user here. I can't speak enough of it, and I generally use Procreate when I'm on the road, and then I cut and paste what I've done back into Clip Studio.
Yeah. But even with Clip Studio, there's so much stuff that I don't like. It's almost like I own a Ferrari, but I only drive to the store with it to pick up milk. Like I don't use any of the fancy stuff with it. I don't use any of the 3D assets. Mostly what I'm doing is what you would do on paper. It's just I have an undo button now instead of having to erase.
Oh,
so
I have to say the 3D assets are addictive. I used to only use them for just the most basic, strange things, and now I have customized figures for the entire cast.
Oh, see, yeah. You know what? I tell people 3D assets aren't bad, especially with the buildings and cars along those lines. Just make sure that you know your perspective. Yeah. So then that way everything looks like it's supposed to be in there. Because you'll see people use a 3D building, but then they'll draw their characters in, but the characters don't fit the proper perspective points, and then they look like they're floating, or your character who's supposed to be 5 foot tall because you put him in the door by a door the wrong way now looks like he's like 15 feet tall. So it's just being careful. You can use 3D assets without making it look like you're even using 3D assets. If you,
the one caveat I'll give about the buildings and the props is that if you read a lot of webtoons, you quickly notice that everybody and their dog are using the same assets. They virtually dark after a certain point. And so remember, they're a reference, not the image themselves.
Yeah, manga's really bad at that. Even on the high pro levels, you'll flip through the book and they're using all essentially 3D asset buildings. Or some people even use like photographs and then just essentially run it through a filter, and that's their background. So yeah, you got to be careful, because if you don't do it right, it sticks out like a sore thumb.
Oh, definitely. It's sort of like those. Make no mistake, those are really, really good filters, but they only work when there's a certain level of detail. If it's too much detail, trace the thing.
Yeah. And when you trace it, I tell people, don't trace it line for line. I would get a decent little trace, and then I would get rid of the image and then just fill in on your own. Then you're going to have variations, and also too, it's going to look more like your drawing. The more that you redraw it, even if you do like trace the outline of the building and get the marks where the windows are, the more that you draw it without that asset, the more it's not going to look like you use the asset at all, and it'll look much better.
One of my big mantras when I'm giving people advice is don't trace copy. And when I mean that is by drawing it by eye, it has a much more organic quality, and it's very much your picture.
Yeah. And because your style will pop out if you're drawing it by copy instead of drawing it by trace. Because sometimes even trace, you'll start losing the depth of it, like the depth features on, like I've noticed when people trace, so we'll sometimes trace a figure, they're not putting all the lines in there just right. So then the what they call the foreshadowing looks off. The figure looks off. It's lost its energy because they're just essentially just line tracing it and not actually going through and looking at it and then drawing your version of it.
Yeah. And not to be a jerk, but it's foreshortening. Foreshadowing is a literary device.
Oh, thank you.
But at least I knew what you were saying.
Yeah, thank you. No, I need to be corrected sometimes. It works.
But yes, definitely. Another thing is, if you get good enough with the models, it's also, at least if you know the very basics of some 3D software like Blender, it's good to make your own original assets.
Yeah. I have thought about paying people to do like 3D models of a ship, and then you can take that ship, put it into Clip Studio, get it to the angle you want, and then use that as a reference. So, but I haven't really had the money or the time to pay someone to do that. But I do have. I'll buy. I would like to have that, but I don't have the time to do it right now, or the talent really, or the money. But yeah, it's a lot of. I mean, yeah. Sorry, just a little nervous trying to get everything going here.
Well, I thought it was a great talk. You had all kinds of information, all kinds of history, some wonderful artwork.
Oh, well, thank you very much.
I'm glad you came on board.
Yeah, I'm very glad that you guys invited me. I'm very happy. This has been awesome.
Maybe you'll start your own Comic-Con.
Well, I'm going to be looking over that blueprint that you have, and I'm going to see about maybe getting something going on around here, because I've already talked to a couple of the local comic book shops, and they would be interested to help. So maybe I can get something going here and maybe spawn some more comic book creators around this area.
Yeah, I ran it for 7 years and kind of ironed out the lumps. Oh, and you got a compliment in the chat.
Oh, well, thank you so much. Yeah, that Silver Surfer one's fun.
Yeah, I think I especially like this Cthulhu Wicked Witch versus Cthulhu one. The lighting effect worked very well.
Oh, well, thank you very much. Yeah, that's sometimes I drawing this stuff just comes out like, okay, I need more practice on setting something up or working on a background or how shading is or just an idea. And this one came out of just I love the idea of Cthulhu invading Oz, and so drawing a big old Cthulhu here's the with the Wicked Witch of the West. I thought that would be fun. And I'm always
Well, the light effect in that one is very effective.
oh, thank you. Yeah, that was just trying to learn, doing this stuff is good practice for the lighting along those lines.
Yeah, Roger Silva said that who needs color when you got great lighting?
Yeah, I'm working on trying to learn how to use more of solid blacks, like more like how a traditional Western artist or like how Mike Mignola would use. It is trying to learn how to do more of solid black areas, but um, I'm really my grace toning style has been building and getting a lot better as I go along. So I've been building off of that, but I've been adding more blacks and if you in my work. It's solid black areas, trying to infiltrate, to add that more into there. I like how that looks, but it's just kind of like nerve wracking because you don't know when too much to use, not enough, and yeah. I'm always trying to do something funny. I like comedies with action and heart, like the James Gunn method, like how he did Guardians. It's silly, lots of action, and then you get hit in the gut with a heartfelt moment, and that's the kind of stuff that I like. And that's why I try to do in my own work with Sig and Joe. I try to do a balance like action and comedy, but at the same time, I I want people to be surprised. Like you read a book about a coffee cup and a cigarette shooting and punching robots, you're going to think it's kind of just a parody joke fest, but then I want to throw in more heartfelt and more moments and flesh out the characters more. And part of that is just I have to be better at writing. I've learned a lot of mistakes with writing in my first 3 issues and 4 issues even. And I've just been trying to learn how to flesh out characters, how to create more rounded characters, and how to uh, uh, show more than tell, if that makes sense on the with the storytelling. Trying to not be so exposition heavy and just get a better all around written story out there. Oh, the inspiration for Sig and Joe. When I got out of the army, I was in a diesel mechanic school at the local community college. And the teacher, when we were doing book work, would tell us, don't let the Z monsters get you, because then you'd fall asleep in class. So he would always tell us to drink coffee. So I always drew during class. I've been doing that since first grade. So even in college now, after I got out of the military, I'm going to be drawing in class. So I started drawing a coffee cup punching shadow monsters that were the Z monsters. They were like these shadow characters with Z's on their chest. And he was just beat him up. And that's what I would draw to stay awake. So then I started drawing a cigarette character with it because it was coffee and a cigarette. I smoked at the time period. I loved coffee. And so I would just draw these 2 characters doing stuff. When I decided to become uh, a full-time comic artist and actually try to make this, I modeled Sig and Joe off of different parts of my own personality, if you will. Like Joe represents more of the confident, the lack of confidence, and trying to do the right thing part. And then Sig is more of my really kind of sarcastic humor, and that's what I've been trying to. I try to put a balance between the 2 of them on that. And there's different stuff in my life that inspired different parts of the stories, different stuff along those lines. But the first original inspiration came from just the teacher saying, don't let the Z monsters get you. And I built these 2 characters. Then when I decided to do it full time, I was like, well, I've been drawing these guys for years now. I might as well use that. And then I was going to do a parody book where I just was making fun of pop culture. And I was like, I don't want to do that. It's not fun. I'm not into it. So instead, I wrote this giant space epic for my first book, which I would recommend if you want to do comics. It would be nice to start with one-shots, not space epics, because that's a lot of stuff to tackle when you're learning. But it's been a journey, and I'm glad I did it. And if Sig and Joe keeps going, I have easily 100 issues worth of stuff planned for them. Who seem like there is a lot of lessons I learned in the Army, and a lot of the people I met that you can see that sprinkled all over in the story with the people that I create and the situations, and you just kind of pour yourself into the project. And I'm not trying to self-insert. I'm just essentially like, okay, what are my thoughts on this, that, because like Sig and Joe overall is about being, there's a difference between like being who you want to be. Like Sig and Joe want to be heroes that stick up for the little guy. Well, during the story they learn that comes with consequences. You don't punch big bad guys and not get punches back. So that's kind of what I wanted, is to put them in situations where they were raised to be these kind of stick up for the little guy, always do the right thing. Then when they try to do that, their world gets turned upside down, and then they have to decide, well, if this is who you want to be, then you have to live it. And that's part about being who you are, is living it and doing that. So I wanted to try to I wanted them to be, it's like, it'd be easier if they just left everything alone and survived in this crazy little sci-fi world I created. But instead, these guys are like, no, we're going to do the right thing no matter how much trouble it causes us, and battling with that as they go through this crazy world that I come up with all these different sci-fi elements and robots and stuff along those lines. Yes, that is true. Coffee and cigarettes are a soldier's breakfast. I had that for many breakfast. I didn't start smoking cigarettes till I was in the Army, and I didn't start drinking coffee till I was in the Army either. And then when I left the Army, there was a lot of coffee and cigarettes. But I don't do cigarettes anymore, so I've been clean of that since 2017. So I do smoke more herbal stuff, but I don't do the whole cigarette stuff. You guys have any other questions or anything? Or?
Well, I enjoyed your talks.
I enjoyed being here. Yeah. Anytime.